Hey, thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are tracking storms across the Northeast today. Now, that's going to come in the form of snow, whereas yesterday we saw those storms in the form of tornadoes, hail, and high wind. Now, all of that happening between Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. Across the Midwest, it was very, very stormy yesterday. And usually we get a few tornadoes every single December. We thought that this December we may be tornado free. However, yesterday changed all of that as we got at least 8 tornadoes across the Midwest. And are you finally reaching for that jacket this December? Most of us are feeling those colder temperatures across the U.S. as that cold front that brought in those tornadoes also brought cold air behind it. Of course, creating those blizzard conditions today, but colder air across most of the country. How long will that last? Will it last for your New Year's Eve? Meteorologist Michaela Smith will have that here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and talk about those tornadoes yesterday. What you can see here is they started off very early. 9:30 in the morning, we saw our first tornado report that was just south of Peoria, Illinois. You can see that highlighted there in red. And what came with this line of storms was also several hail reports in this area and some strong wind as well. As we did see some damage in this area, we'll show you those pictures here in just a few minutes. But that was only round 1. Round 2 came shortly after that, where we saw a line of storms right along this cold front right here with several more tornado warnings, tornado watches, severe thunderstorm warnings, and then of course we saw those tornado reports as well. Let's go ahead and talk more about these tornado reports and of course what did our meteorologist map yesterday. Our meteorologist mapped at least 8 tornadoes across Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky yesterday. Now, 6 of these tornadoes were reported in Illinois, 1 in Indiana, and 1 in Kentucky. We think that most of these tornadoes will be reported as an EF1 or EF0 tornado, so nothing major here. On the ground for a very short amount of time, which is very typical with this long line of thunderstorms that we saw yesterday. However, still very impressive for December. There's a look at all of the tornadoes across Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. Let's take a look at some of these pictures that were taken by the Tazewell County Emergency Management out of Illinois. This was, I think, just south of Peoria. Devastating for many people across Illinois yesterday that had their homes ripped apart, their carports ripped apart as well. You can see that here from Tazewell. A lot of people had power outages as well. You can see those power lines down, tilting in the corner. Now, I do want to also address something that's going on here. Do you see this fog that has set up across this field? What that is that's from the hail that fell with this storm. What happens is that hail melts. It releases cooler air just above the surface, but it's warm just above the surface as well. What happens there is that fog will form. We call that hail fog. I know there were a lot of questions about that, but it is kind of an eerie scene, right? Where you have these extremely foggy conditions. You've got that damage on the ground as well. You can see some of the hail that's piled up in some of these areas. This is from Macon County, Illinois, where we saw a lot of pictures. We have more pictures on our Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok pages if you want to see more of that tornado impact. But let's take a look at what we're seeing right now. There's your cold front. This was the troublemaker yesterday that moved through the Midwest. Now it's off on the East Coast, bringing extremely cold conditions to places down as far south as northern Florida, where they do have some freeze warnings in effect for tomorrow. We're still seeing that snow move across places like Pennsylvania and New York. We've got rain and a wintry mix all the way up the Northeast as well. However, the severe risk for today is very, very low. Hey, Texas, I see you with a little bit of snow trying to make its way into the far western portion of the state. Other than that, it's cold out there. It's very, very cold. 34 right here in Oklahoma City, 19 in Kansas City, 11 in Minneapolis right now. Are we going to see a ton of snow from this? Up in the Midwest, maybe you'll see a little bit of snow. Texas, I wouldn't hold your breath for any snow down there. I mean, maybe just enough to coat the ground, but not a ton expected to come your way. And it'll melt pretty quickly as we get some warmer temperatures to move back in by the middle of the week. But still, we've got a few watches and warnings going on here. Let's go ahead and break that down for you. Winter storm warning in New Mexico. Winter weather advisory stretches into Texas. This is an interesting one. We have air stagnation advisory highlighted here in gray. It's not a fog watch or a low visibility. It's air stagnation advisory. So those who may have trouble breathing, try to stay inside, try to stay in that AC today. Now, as you go to the East Coast, you've got some strong wind across the Midwest and across the East Coast, and then of course you've got those winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in place. Go down to Florida, and you even have some cold weather advisories because temperatures are expected to drop down into the 30s tomorrow. As for severe weather, well, it looks pretty low. We are not expecting any hail across the U.S. today, tomorrow, or on Wednesday. It's going to stay pretty quiet in terms of severe weather here. Yesterday was the big severe weather day, so no hail expected. However, we are expecting a little bit of a warm-up. It's not going to stay this cold the entire week. What about winter weather? Even winter weather is few and far between. You've got a little bit of snow coming into the northern portion of Minnesota as we head into early Tuesday morning. I wouldn't expect your accumulations to be too impressive here. And then, of course, there's that winter weather that we've been watching across New Mexico and western Texas that's ongoing right now. A little bit of snow coming from this. Ooh, could you get a little bit of wintry conditions down in the western portion of Texas, just to the west of San Angelo, south of Lubbock, Texas? Yeah, maybe, but I'm not expecting, again, too much in terms of that accumulation. A little bit of rain out on the west coast, a little bit of rain on the east coast as well. However, most of us will stay dry over the next 5 days, right through the middle of the U.S. Now let's go ahead and talk about what we're expecting as we head into the middle of the week. A lot of people are getting off for New Year's Eve, or maybe you even have those New Year's Eve plans. Do you need a jacket? I wouldn't say you need a rain jacket. Most likely not a snow jacket either, not too worried about that. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Michaela Smith. If you are traveling for the holidays, how will you need to prepare? Will you have any delays? I see a little bit of red on this map, but a lot of green, which is great news. So Michaela, break this down for us. What can we expect as people hit the roads for the holidays?
Yeah, you know, we're talking about a little bit of snow, maybe some areas you show some of those maps right now, especially to the northeast. But it's not going to be any crazy major delays, I hope. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
That's good news. Okay, let's see it. I'm excited to see this breakdown. A lot of people traveling for New Year's Eve.
A lot of people traveling. So we'll look at tomorrow. It starts on your Tuesday around 8 a.m. And you can see areas up to the northeast. There could be some delays. New York, Pittsburgh, those types of areas dealing with some of those delays just from some of that winter weather. Here's a look at Tuesday evening. Still some moderate delays across the East Coast. Then as we head into Wednesday, this is going to be on your New Year's Eve, not really seeing a ton of travel delays in the morning, still in the evening. This is 7:30 going into your New Year's Eve, not seeing too many travel delays. On your New Year's Day, January 1st, 2026, really across the country you're seeing a lot of green, so no major weather hazards expecting to cause travel delays during the day. But once we get to the evening, we have maybe some rain that's going to start to develop in parts of Texas and New Mexico. So we'll have to watch that, especially areas like Dallas. By the time you get into Friday morning, if you're heading anywhere back after New Year's, you could be dealing with some small delays in parts of Texas, maybe even down to Louisiana. You can see New Orleans is also going to be under a yellow, so that just means maybe minor delays possible. As you head into Friday night, not really seeing too many delays across the area. Now, I did want to show you something cool. I did look at some extremes for New Year's Day, so January 1st. One of the warmest days on record for the first was 83 degrees. That was back in 2019. That was in Jacksonville, Florida, so things typically stay pretty warm in Florida. The coldest, though, talk about extreme, negative 31 degrees. This was not the wind chill. This was the actual temperature. That was back in 1988 in Colorado, so very chilly conditions. Then you get one of the rainiest days was 16 inches. That was in Los Angeles, so a lot of times in the winter they see those atmospheric rivers. So that caused a ton of flooding back in 1934. And then in 1999 in Chicago, 22 inches of snow fell. It was one of the most snowiest days on record for Chicago. I think it's actually the second snowiest. And they had blizzard conditions when they saw 22 inches of snow fell on New Year's Day in 1999. So some of those just extremes from across the country. And now finally, we'll look at your New Year's forecast. As we switch from December 31st to New Year's Day in Dallas, you're going to be seeing temperatures right around 68 degrees, so that's a little bit above average for this time of year. Mostly sunny conditions though, so being able to soak up that sunshine. In Denver, temperatures pretty similar. You're sitting right around 60 degrees to start 2026, but mostly cloudy conditions, so that may even keep temperatures just a little bit cooler if more clouds stick around. Finally, Chicago, you're going to be cold on New Year's Day. 20 degrees with mostly sunny skies, but you will probably want your jacket to start the new year, especially with that wind chill making temperatures just a little bit colder than 20. So it's going to be pretty chilly over the next several days. I'll bring Taylor back in to kind of show you these future temperatures, starting off obviously with this evening, but then walking us through New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. A lot of people go out on Wednesday night on New Year's Eve, they want to celebrate, and the jacket may ruin some people's outfits.
I know, especially 20 degrees in Chicago. I think that obviously you need a jacket, maybe those hand warmers as well, but at least it won't be snowing. I like to see those sunny or clear skies.
That's where you can kind of style it with maybe a scarf, some gloves. You can make it stylish.
Oh yeah, make the jacket the outfit. I like that. Well, Michaela, thank you so much. I know a lot of people preparing. As maybe you're working today, but then off later on this week, you probably will need that jacket. Now, Michaela highlighted some of our cities across the U.S., Denver, Chicago. What if you're headed down to the south? Well, tomorrow it looks like temperatures are in the 30s in Florida. However, warming back up as we head into the middle of the week. So you can see that we've got a pocket of warmer air that's trying to move its way up Texas, maybe into Louisiana. We've got Mississippi and Alabama in there. So January 1st, you were waking up on New Year's, the first day of the year of 2026. What does it look like out there? Oh, it's nice out there. Okay, 61 in Oklahoma City, 55 in Memphis. Okay, so that's a little bit warmer. Friday, even a little bit warmer for some of us. What about as we head into the rest of January? Let's take a sneak peek. Yeah, there you go. I want to fast forward here. I'm going to take a sneak peek into January 3rd through the 7th here. Warming up across a good portion of the central and western portion of the U.S. Now, if we could get some moisture in here, we could see a pattern shift that turns a little bit more severe, right? Better chances for severe weather if we can have that moisture and we can have those warmer temperatures. Now, I'm not seeing a ton of moisture right through the central portion of the U.S. where we would need it the most, but we do have some moisture out on the west coast. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look into January, and we're going to have a January outlook for you on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. So make sure that you come back for your forecasts later this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll take a look at January and what we're expecting in terms of severe weather across the U.S. Until then, it's pretty quiet out there. Grab that jacket because it's cold both today and on New Year's Eve, as you would expect. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox. As always, if you want to watch this forecast again, if you missed any portion of this forecast, after it ends, you can always go back and rewatch. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, we are very active on these social media platforms, so make sure that you follow us over there and give us a call at 855-334-4245 or info@hailtrace.com for more information on our subscriptions. I like that Billy Jones is on here today saying Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. If you are looking to work over the next few days or maybe even into the very beginning of January, make sure that you have our subscriptions. Our hail, wind, and tornado maps are pivotal for you to go back and see those storms that happened earlier on this year. You can go work areas that you may have missed earlier this year as well. Again, give us a call, email us for more information on those subscriptions, or head over to HailTrace.com. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place.